Hi, guys. Welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's January 13th, 2023. Hard to believe, actually, but it is. Little crazy weather on the Northeast. I know the Midwest is getting slammed, so I hope all our loyal listeners from all over the country are safe and sound and getting their 2024 off to a great start. A lot of stuff to talk about, obviously. It's just been kind of a crazy week in sports. We're going to cover the national championship game. We're going to cover college football. We're going to cover the NFL, of course. So we're going to jump right into the monologue, which, of course, is sponsored by Coriano Trucking of Summer Hill, New York, who is listening to the show as we speak. So thank you, Guy. And let's jump into it. So our monologue this week, and I was kind of debating. I had a couple of ideas that I wanted to talk about, and then out of the blue comes this breaking Nick Saban story that he steps down at Alabama, and to use a phrase that is kind of overused, it's an end of an era, I believe, in college football. And when someone as successful as him and what he's done and won 6 national championships at a school in 17 years is unbelievable. It's a big loss for the University of Alabama, and it's a big loss for college football. Um, but I think and something that Eli and I have talked about time and time again, it's this nil portal, which I think in his mind contributed to it saying, I can't build a team and create unity and bond, which is necessary to win all those national championships when it's basically free agency for high school incoming college players and current college players where they basically can go out, cut a deal with wherever they want. And like I said, the nil portal is really something that I believe contributed to this. Yes, he's also 72 years old. But it's really something I wanted to mention that somebody like Nick Saban and the impact that he's had on college football and the impact that he's had on many people's lives. You can go back and you can talk to any Alabama alumni, or even go back to Michigan State, even go back further to Toledo and then LSU. This guy was all about building character as well as a football team, and he managed to do both. And it's just a big loss for college football. And like I said, this is for me certainly worthy of a monologue because it's that impactful on the landscape of college football. And good luck to him in retirement. And we're going to get into some of the other coaching changes in the NFL and so forth. But Nick Saban, you were an amazing football coach. You did a great job. We wish you all the best in retirement.
Yes, indeed. And before we get to my thoughts, we have a comment from Eric. He says, "Good morning to all," and we say good
Good
morning to
morning,
him and thank
Eric,
you for
from
watching us.
Westchester, Pennsylvania. Yeah.
And my thoughts on Nick Saban, of course, one of the greatest head coaches of all time for the college football landscape. There will be no other competition for him anytime soon. Regardless if Washington's head coach become, even though he became the new head coach for uh, for Alabama, that would be Karen DeBoer. I don't think that they will be the same Alabama team as they once was. Now, the also another rumor that came in was that he's interested in broadcasting. So, will he land the job in somewhere like ESPN, in College Game Day, or in the analyst field? That is the absolute big question that is up right now. Because he said in the interview with Reese Davis the other day on ESPN that he is interested in broadcasting. So, the question is, will he continue to do stuff with Alabama? Will he enjoy his retirement, or will he just decide to do some broadcasting a little bit? We know he's already on the Pat McAfee show once weekly. So those are all
Yeah.
just questions that need to be answered.
Well, listen, I don't think there's any question. I mean, stepping away from coaching is one thing. Stepping away from the entire
Game
college
is
football
different.
experience is a little bit different. I think he needs to stay connected to this. So I certainly do see him um, in some sort of a broadcast or analysis role for either the major networks or ESPN or whatever it is, because his opinion matters. That's how
Absolutely, he
impactful he's
does.
been. So
Yeah.
big loss for college football.
Ab-
Great coach. And I think Eli, if I know there was I think you watch Hard Knocks. I didn't watch it, but they're doing this in season Hard Knocks with the Dolphins, and there
Right.
was a clip of Tua finding out about Nick Saban, and that's the point I was trying to make in the monologue, where you take a guy like Tua, who's now an NFL quarterback, and he says what impact that man had on his life is just amazing, and he's done it for
Absolutely.
hundreds of other
There's no
kids.
question.
So
Yeah.
right.
Absolutely no question.
So listen, let's move on. Because yes, Black Monday was last week, and boy, did it get dark. Right? It was
Yeah,
just
it got hugely dark, that's for
coaching
sure.
carousels and a lot of moves, some unprecedented.
I think this was the
Yeah.
most surprising
So let's go right
stories
down
that
the
we've ever
list,
seen.
kind of thing, right? I mean, no. Well, let's kind of recap where we are. We had the first to go was Al Smith from Atlanta. Ron Rivera got
Artie
fired.
Smith, yep.
Mike Vrabel got fired, and your coach
Pete
Pete
Carroll
Carroll.
got let
How
go.
about that? I mean, that had to come as a shock to you.
When I saw it at 220, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I was super shocked. And you're not going to find a coach like Pete Carroll anywhere else. And you can guarantee that. That's just the same situation like Bill Belichick and with Nick Saban. You're not going to find good coaches, which, by the way, they're all 70 years old. So it was a bad day for 70-year-olds within 24 hours. So tough day for those guys. But I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. He was definitely emotional during his press conference at the end. He was not exactly the happiest person in the world to be leaving. A lot of people reach out, even Russell Wilson, who they weren't a fan of. He left, and they made some notes. They all wished him thank you. And Seattle right now is looking at Dan Quinn, who is the defensive coordinator right now for Dallas. He won a Super Bowl with Seattle when he was DC there. He then went to Atlanta. He went to Super Bowl there, but didn't win it against the overtime rules in New England. But yeah, I'm just Dan Quinn's the answer, I think, for Seattle. I think if that is the right way to go, still shocked about Pete Carroll today. Definitely will be missed.
Yep.
Where he goes next, that's the question.
That's good. That's a good question. And look, we talk about age. Pete Carroll, I think, is 70 what?
72. Him and Nick Saban are 72, and 71 is Bill Belichick.
Wow.
And another good point, which I found on Twitter, on X formerly Twitter, is they all have a Croatian background and descent, whether it's their father or mother's side. So it's all Croatian head coaches. So it's like, oh, go pick up somebody from Croatia.
Wow, how about that? Oh, and by the way, you just mentioned a name we didn't bring up, of course, but we because it wasn't really a surprise. It was not a firing, not a yeah.
It was Bill Belichick.
But this is a man, Bill Belichick. Go ahead, Eli.
I was going to say, this seems like when Tom Brady left the New England Patriots, trouble started from day one, it looks like. Because there was a question was asked to Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots. They go, what are your thoughts on Tom Brady once he left? He said in a reply, Bill Belichick had told me Brady couldn't play anymore. Kraft finished saying that he went out and won the Super Bowl. Cursing was involved during that statement as well, but we don't say that, of course, on YouTube. But yeah, so goes to show that he already seemed to have date with Tom Brady from day one, and it looked like trouble began the moment Tom Brady left. So we knew something was fishy off in New England, and now we learn more about his details. And Gerard Mayo gets hired for the Patriots. It's all, I think, not surprising he's gone. You'll never have another great coach like that in the New England era or ever in the NFL, I believe. And to win 6 Super Bowls with one incredible quarterback is something special. And that's, you'll never see that.
Yeah. And as you brought up, Gerard Mayo gets the job. I kind of thought that it made sense for me to bring back Mike Vrabel, at least somebody who currently had NFL coaching experience. This Gerard Mayo, who's Super Bowl winner, played for Belichick, and I'm sure Belichick gave him gave his blessing on that selection.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, they're gonna restart things over in New England. And you know what's so ironic about this, Eli, is that you have two of the biggest names in the biggest name in college coaching and the biggest name in
In
the
NFL.
NFL coaching ranks, who happen to be best friends, right?
Right.
Best friends, and now they're both go
Retiring
out on during
or
the same
leave.
week. It's just ironic,
I was
crazy ironic.
waiting for the Bill Belichick news to happen the same day that
Yep.
Saban and Pete Carroll left, and that would have been a
So
huge day in history. That was my original thought process and what I originally thought that would happen. So it would have been pretty crazy if it happened.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So listen, there's definitely some vacancies here. We're gonna have some first time head coaches. We're
Oh
gonna have
yeah,
some recycled coaches, but this was a Black Monday that we haven't seen, and I don't even know. I mean, are we completely done? I mean, or is the Las Vegas Raiders bring somebody in to replace Antonio Pierce in the interim
I
tag?
don't think
These
so.
are still open questions. A lot of yeah.
I personally don't think so. I think he's going to stay right where he
You
is,
think they
but
keep
there's still
Pierce?
questions. I think so. After what he's done,
Yeah.
after the whole change, I believe it was a successful run where you had a shot at the playoffs. If it wasn't for Kansas City, they had a
Mm-hmm.
shot. Literally, it
No.
wasn't the greatest chance in the world, but they technically had a shot. So I would say keep him, and see how it plays out. But you do need also a few
Yeah.
changes, though.
Right. So we also had some, some news from New York with the Giants and Wink Martindale out. A couple other
Right.
coaches are out, and
I believe they already hired somebody
it
already.
was kind of an ugly way to end the relationship with Brian. Yeah, but to hire the for this to happen, I mean, Dable and Wink Martindale just couldn't get a line for some reason, and
Yeah,
that's the result. So look for Wink Martindale possibly to land one of these openings. It's not out of the
absolutely.
realm of possibility. But the Giants, they have some work to do. I know we have one of our loyal listeners, Frankie, is listening, and we're not going to talk about Daniel Jones. We're not going to talk about Tyrod Taylor.
Mm.
This is about righting the ship and getting a coaching staff in
Well,
place
yes,
and address the problems that we had. And
you
that's
need a
that's the
coaching
first
staff.
root cause.
You need coaching staff. Defense needs to be on shape and on point, and you need to figure out who's your
Yep.
quarterback. You have three options. We already know it's Daniel
Well,
Jones, but confirm it. Let it be solid. Let it be secured.
I know.
Because we all know it ain't gonna be Tyrod Taylor. We all know it ain't gonna be Tommy Cutlets. You know, we know who ain't gonna be and who is gonna be, but we just want
I
to
know.
make sure it's secure.
I
Let all
know. But
Giants
I
fans
know
sleep at night
people. I
knowing
know
that this is
Giant fans, and I know how Giant fans feel. And this is definitely, like I said, I've been a full supporter of Daniel Jones, but I could see guys like Frankie's opinion that this guy just it hasn't gotten the job done, and there's some validity to that. But they are on the hook for paying this guy an exorbitant amount of money, which we all concede was overpaying for something. But um,
yeah,
what's the long term? And listen, we're not going to get into all the draft scenarios, but there's going to be a lot of them that's going to change the draft landscape as we get closer to April. But crazy week in the NFL. Crazy week.
absolutely, it was crazy. But we're not just done yet, as because there's still more news happening in regards to scheduling and all that. Because tonight playoffs begin. We have a full latest schedule. We'll get to the games in just a little bit. But here's an interesting story that happened. It's snowing in Buffalo, as we know. They post on their website, social media. Can you believe this? They're hiring snow shovelers, 18 years and older or younger, to
Yeah.
start working to shovel. $20 an hour plus food. Would you take the deal?
Absolutely. If I was low on beer money, I would take that deal.
You take the
Yes, I
money,
would.
yeah. I think that's a good deal. I think.
This isn't the first time. The Bills have done this before. Yeah.
I think
Bills
it's
have
just
done
interesting.
this
It's
before.
hilarious.
I mean,
It's
but
hilarious.
this is January in Buffalo, and yeah, they're going to be playing in a foot of snow tomorrow. So does
I'm
that
surprised the
alter
game's
or
not
give
moved.
Pittsburgh
But
a better
yeah,
chance to win? Sure.
no.
Yeah, right. Sure. because playing in the elements is changes the dynamic of playing on a nice, dry, clean field. So
Yeah,
you know, we're all picking Buffalo to knock off the Steelers because their quarterback situation's a little
they need to
unsettled.
move
They're
the
missing
game.
T.J. Watt, so it doesn't appear that they stand a chance. So
Move the game.
yeah,
That's what I say.
we'll catch up on that. We'll do our picks in a little bit. So let's jump over real quick to college football because I want to talk about the national championship and we both watched the game, and it's so ironic that
Yeah,
it was, the coaches were Jim Harbaugh, who's probably leaving Michigan, probably going.
I
He's
don't think
actually
so.
meeting with the Los Angeles Chargers this week. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's leaving. Um,
We have a
but
comment from
also,
Eric
and
again.
the other name, Caleb DeBoer.
Comment from Eric. He said we can split a case
Eric
of
Pembroke, see, Schaefer. Yeah,
Schaefer.
that's kind of an old throwback beer that we used to drink in the 70s and the 80s. So, Eric, I appreciate that comment. It made me laugh. It kind of, Eli didn't get it, but I got it. Thank you. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things going on with the weather and all this kind of stuff. But the national championship finally, uh, Harbaugh, after what 12 years there, gets
Yeah.
his national championship, and this what does that do with Michael Penix, draft status and all those kind of things come into play. But um, Michigan, they sent a message. They were the best team. Both you and I had them going. Once
Yep.
the playoffs started, we saw that coming the whole time.
I
Um,
had Washington, so I'm
Great players
disappointed
on
that they
both
lost.
sides.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And then you had
But that
Michigan's
was a
defensive
good game.
lineman Chris Jenkins.
And they
He's
did win
declared.
the national championship.
Yeah. And defensive lineman for
Yeah.
Michigan, Chris Jenkins, has declared for the NFL draft, as well as Caleb DeBoer from Alabama, following Nick Saban's retirement. I'm sorry, no, Nick Boer. I'm sorry, Kalen DeBoer became the head coach for Alabama. My bad, I read the wrong thing. Marvin Harris Jr. is also
Alabama.
declared for the
Yeah.
NFL draft. That's
Yep.
what I meant. Yeah, there you go.
Right. And I mean, we're gonna have a lot to talk about because before the draft, like I said, a lot of these quarterbacks are in play, and a lot of teams are in need of a quarterback. And we talked about the Giants, and will they move on from Daniel Jones? Will they make some noise on
Yeah,
draft day to move up, get one of the four quarterbacks that are out there? All a couple months away, but still going
yeah.
on.
Here is a
But
draft
I
order, by
couldn't
the
be
way.
more impressed with J.J. McCarthy from Michigan.
Absolutely, he
Yeah,
was absolutely inspiring. He'll be huge
go ahead.
heading into the NFL. Here's a draft order. I'll announce it real quick. Number 1 pick goes to the Bears. At number 2, you have the Commanders. 3, the Patriots. 4, the Cardinals. Chargers at number 5. Giants at 6. 7, the Titans. Falcons at 8. Bears at 9 again. The Jets at 10. Vikings 11. Broncos at 12. 13, the Raiders. 14, the Saints. 15, the Colts. 16, the Seahawks. 17, the Jaguars. And 18, the Bengals. So an interesting draft order coming up for all these teams.
Yeah, and we kind of touched on it a little bit last week that like Marvin Harrison declaring for the draft could change throw the whole thing into chaos because he's certainly worthy of being um, the number one draft pick, but it's going to be based on needs, and the decision is going to come down to whether the Bears are all in on Justin Fields or they're going to move on because that's going to affect if they're in on Justin Fields, then Harrison makes sense. If they decide they're going to move on, um, then he's not going to be the number one pick, and it'll be Caleb Williams. So that remains to be seen.
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll be huge heading in. And we also have another comment coming in from
Yep. So
Diego Cruz. Giants, please draft offensive linemen.
yeah, and that's a comment that a lot of people feel, and we saw what happened with drafting Evan Neal with the number one pick. That is the toughest, I think, position to get right in the NFL because it's so difficult being one of those offensive linemen. I wouldn't have a problem if they took one, but I don't know if that's the urgent need. I like Smith's, at center. He's going to develop. You're okay with Andrew Thomas on the left hand side. So we've got a couple of holes to fill, but
Yeah,
I don't know if the number one need is the offensive lineman. Those you could probably,
you
go
can
out
make a case.
shopping for and get some experienced players. So good thought, though. Good
Yeah,
thought.
absolutely.
All right, Eli. So the college football season is
In the
behind
books.
us, and now it's all about the big boys. And so give us a rundown of who we'll make our picks in a little bit, but give us
So here is the slate of games you can look out
the
for
who,
today,
when, and
and we'll
where of the wild card weekend.
yes, indeed. So we'll start off with the first three games that are happening, two today, one tomorrow, are from the AFC side of things. Kicking off today at 4:30 p.m. on NBC. Browns versus the Texans. The Browns have the number 5 seed. Texans have the 4 seed. The first time the Texans come in with CJ Stroud and a rookie quarterback and a rookie head coach into the playoffs. They are home in Houston, which was home to the national championship, so they just flip flopped. And of course, the Browns have Joe Flacco, so that is absolutely my key game to watch out for. I think that is going to be, I think, the best game to watch out for, in my opinion, that is available to you on television. The next game is the AFC
Right?
battle, number 6 Dolphins versus the 3 Chiefs. That game, unfortunately, we could all start crying now and complain later. The Saturday 8 p.m. game on Peacock. It's exclusively on Peacock. You cannot watch it anywhere
Deplorable.
else, unfortunately. You can all start booing. And if you want to watch it, the game is on Peacock, obviously. So if you have Peacock, watch on Peacock. But if you're in Miami or in Kansas City, you can watch it on your local NBC. If you have Amazon Fire TV, there is a website, there is an app available where you can watch on a 2 minute delay their NBC from either Kansas City or Miami. So check that out. Or I believe the name you gave me was the TV app, if I'm not mistaken. You gave Jim, yeah,
Yeah,
the TV app.
actually, yeah. Somebody gave me a thing, and listen, I hope people do this. I hope this sends a message to the NFL that we can get the game. You're not going to force us to pay $6 to watch a football game.
Yes, and if
There are
anything,
other options there. So
And if anything, we already know the Chiefs are going to blow out the Miami Dolphins. Spoiler alert. Okay. And the next game, we'll start off with Sunday slate, the final AFC games Steelers versus the Bills, 1 p.m. on CBS in the snow. So have fun with the AFC matchups. The Steelers are the 7 seed, Buffalo is the 2 seed. Good matchup to watch out for. Could be anybody's game, literally. On the NFC side of things, 4:30 p.m. on Fox. The Packers at the 7 seed go to Dallas, the 2 seed for the Cowboys. Cowboys should win this game, but like I said, it is anybody's game. Dallas has had a phenomenal home streak record, so we'll see if they continue that during the playoffs. The Sunday night game, 8:20 p.m. on NBC. The 6 seed Rams take on the 3 seed Lions. What a game that is. Another game to watch out for. My game of the week for the AFC is Browns Texans. NFC game to watch out for, Rams Lions. That is a great game. Matthew Stafford against Jared Goff. That is a fantastic game in Detroit. That's over on NBC tomorrow night. And finally, a boring game, but it's still important. Number 5 seed Eagles take on the 4 seed Tampa Bay Buccaneers over on Monday Night Football on ABC, ESPN, and ESPN2 with the Manning Cast at 8:15 p.m. A good game to watch out for, but not as important or exciting as the other ones. A lot of games to watch out for. We also have the 49ers and the Ravens also up for grabs. They're at the 1 seed. They got the bye this week, so the winner will play them. So exciting, these matchups coming up. Lot to look forward to. And my games to watch out for are Browns, Texans, Rams, Lions for both sides of AFC and NFC.
okay. All right. Well, let's rip through our picks. I'll go first.
Yes,
Just to recap from last week, we ended on a 2-1
2
note
and 1,
for
right?
our three picks, which is pretty good. We were 3-0 the week before, so we're on a roll here. So let's go right down the list, and you keep bringing it up that Cleveland, Houston, yes, a lot of intrigue here with Flacco coming off the couch and playing what I think is above his head. I don't think he's got that much. I I can't argue with his success. He's done a great job for Cleveland, and we're all anxious to see if C.J. Stroud can handle the pressure of a playoff game and live up to the season that he's had. He's obviously going to be the rookie of the year. He's
Yeah.
he's had the best interception to touchdown ratio for any rookie quarterback of all time. So it's a great game. I'm going to take Houston because I think this Joe Flacco um,
Yep.
Cinderella story has got to end, and I
Yes.
think it's going to end in Houston. I think if Cleveland was home, I may have taken them, but I'm going to go with Houston in first game. And of course, tonight the
The game we all get to watch.
the freezer bowl, right? Miami's going down, and listen, I mean, say what you want, but there is something behind the fact that warm weather team. There you are.
We're going to have we have a little technical difficulties with Jim right now.
We had
Uh,
a little
according to YouTube, he's
technical glitch
Jim. Are
there.
you still there? Yeah, you're still. You're very choppy on YouTube. Okay, so we'll let Jim take care of. We'll let Jim reset. Well, okay, so Jim's gonna
There you
reset
are.
his system up right
You're
now. In the
back.
meantime, yeah, Jim, yeah, you're very choppy on YouTube. Jim, all right, so Jim, we'll take care of Jim in a moment. In the meantime, I'll
I
make
don't
my
know
picks.
what's
In the meantime, until
happening
we get
here.
Jim, you're very choppy on YouTube. I think you might want to step out, come back. Okay, so yeah, he's gonna take care of that. In the meantime, I will make my picks for Super Wildcard Weekend until Jim gets back on. For the Browns Texans game, what a game that is! I think that'll be such a successful game to watch out for. Joe Flacco, C.J. Stroud, everything is on the line for that game. I said from day one, folks, that CJ Stroud is definitely the answer and he will go far. So, in those cases, in those instances, I'm going to take CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans to beat Joe Flacco and the Browns 28-21. Jim is heading back in now. Jim, how are you? You good now? Jim?
Well,
You there?
I am. There you are. We're back. Sorry, folks,
Okay.
for
Yes. So yeah,
I
he
am.
had some
Can
technical
you hear me?
issues according to YouTube, but we are good. Yes, you are
All
good
right.
to go. I just made my Houston Texans
Okay.
pick while you were gone to keep the guys busy. I had Texans 28-21. But we'll head back to your picks for the rest of the games before I make my rest of my picks.
Okay. So let's go right down the list. And I'm going to take Kansas City because I don't bet against Patrick Mahomes. I don't know that Miami is going to be accustomed to playing in minus 30 weather. So, but you know what? Miami's played well, but they haven't played well on the road. And this is going to be extenuating circumstances. So we'll see about that. I know this seems like an obvious pick, but Kansas City hasn't been the team we were accustomed to seeing. But Patrick Mahomes is still Patrick Mahomes. I'm going with Kansas City. And
Absolutely.
tomorrow, the first game is Pittsburgh and Buffalo. And as Eli pointed out before, if you know the Buffalo area at all, which I do, there's going to be a big snowstorm tomorrow. So anything can happen when you get a foot of snow on the field. But right now, if it was a dry field, it seemed like it would be an easy pick with the Bills at home. Pittsburgh, uncertain quarterback situation. But I'm going with Buffalo to win the game tomorrow because I don't think Mason Rudolph can get that done for us. So we move on to the fourth game, and we're talking about this before, Green Bay, and I know one of our loyal listeners, Abe, is big Green Bay fan, but they got to go on the road. And Jordan Love's first playoff game, and Dallas is pretty tough at home. So I don't think we're poised for an upset here. I'm going to take Dallas. But you know what? Green Bay's not going to lay down. I think they're going to make it a competitive game, but Dallas will come out victorious. And then Eli, as he's pointed up, I think this is one of the more obviously intriguing games because of the whole Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford dynamic, right? Swap for one another, and they go on and Rams win the Super Bowl with Stafford. but Jared Goff has done a great job in Detroit, and Dan Campbell believes in him. And I'm even going to take Detroit to win this game over the Rams. Some may call it an upset. I don't know. They're both even amounts,
No,
so
I
we'll
think they're
see.
in favor, so it's not an upset.
And the last game, you're right. Yeah. But the last game, though, as you pointed out, the Philadelphia Tampa Bay game. I mean, Philadelphia has looked just awful the last 6 weeks of the season. Tampa Bay barely squeaks by with a 9-7 record. I don't know the status of Baker Mayfield, but I think Jalen Hurts
Yeah,
and
I
the
don't know.
Eagles have more talent. Is he in or out?
Yeah, he should be able to play, but we have
So
not heard much about him. I know Jalen Hurts, he's not been practicing, so I don't know if it's a go for him yet.
yeah, okay. But I'm going to take Philadelphia over Tampa Bay. I don't think much of Tampa Bay as a playoff team right now. I think Sirianni will figure something out, and I'm going to take Philadelphia. So recap: Houston, KC, Buffalo, Dallas, Detroit, Philadelphia.
Well, I
Eli,
said it from day.
give us
All
your
right, look, so I made my pick earlier while you were off the air. I had the Texans winning 28-21, so you know that one already. Let's go to the next game for me. Dolphins, Chiefs. Chiefs are in favor by only 2 points, rather. I'm going to take the Chiefs 35-24. I think the Chiefs have it in down pat. The Dolphins cannot win a away game or in the cold like that against a team that's over 500. So that is the reason why I'm going to take the Chiefs. Bills, Steelers, CBS tomorrow. Bills are in favor by 9.5. I am taking the Bills to win 32-21. That is also my lock of the week. I think that it's a very good a very important game for the Bills to win. They're home. They're in the cold. They're in the snow. That gives them the advantage. And Buffalo knows how to play in those cold weather snow situations. Packers, Cowboys. Packers, you cannot trust them, especially when you're home in Dallas. Dallas is unstoppable when home. They have not lost home. So I'm taking Dallas to win 28-25 by at least a field goal pick there. Rams, Lions, NBC, Sunday night. Give me the Lions 21-18. I love what the Rams have been doing. I think it'll be a close game, but I think the Lions have it down pat. They should be able to get past the first round, but I don't know about the second. So I'll take the Lions in this case. Eagles, Buccaneers. Here's where we disagree. Give me Tampa Bay for the upset, 25-10. Why am I taking Tampa Bay? Number one reason. The Eagles have just lost to the Giants and the Cardinals and the Seahawks and almost lost on Christmas Day to the Giants. With a AJ Brown still questionable about playing, and you also have Jalen Hurts, who may not play. That just changes the game. You know, Jalen Hurts is not going to be the usual self because he's not been practicing for the past few days. So I think that gives Tampa Bay that extra advantage, regardless of what the status is in Tampa Bay and Baker Mayfield. Not saying both these teams will go far in the second round, but I do say Tampa Bay over Philadelphia. So I'm taking Texans, Chiefs, Bills, Cowboys, Lions, and the Buccaneers.
well, we are all aligned, almost,
Except for one.
except for one. So one of us is going to be have a better record than the other. So we'll find
Exactly.
out who that's going to be. So that's an interesting pick with Tampa Bay. So good luck on that pick for you.
I
And
think
yeah,
it's
the
a
whole
great choice.
one thing I noticed though, there's two games: the Ice Bowl that's going to be in Kansas City and the
Oh,
snowstorm
0
in
degrees.
Buffalo. Yeah, but you have them scoring a lot of points in that weather. That's an interesting thing. So
Yes, I
we'll
do.
find out. And listen, Eli, if you want, I mean, since ticket prices are about $50, if you want to buy the ticket to the game tonight, fly to Kansas City this afternoon, you could
I
probably
might
get any
consider it. Let's see. I might have my bags packed. Let's hit the road. All right, Jim.
and then you
We're
won't,
taking a road
and then
trip
you
to
won't have
watch the Peacock game.
yeah, and then you won't have to pay to watch it on Peacock. That's right. So awesome stuff to go over, and like I said, the NFL, and it's just it's the entity that it is, right? I mean, as frustrated as we get, we still can't take our eyes off it. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And there's some we're going to bring up in a little bit because we're going to move on to our uh, random points of interest. But listen, we'd love to hear your comments on the show right now, or
Yes.
send us an email at sportswithmanoandmano@gmail.com. because
Follow us on Twitter at the Sports with Mono Gmail account, or follow me on Instagram or Twitter at Elijah Wine Trouble Elijah, because I will be uploading most of the stuff for Sports with Mono. Yeah, we'll give you all the latest updates. We are working on getting an Instagram account for the show. I will have that possibly up by next week, so stand by
yep,
for that. And in the meantime, follow me, follow the show on Twitter, and we will get you the best, latest details possible.
excellent, love it. Yeah, we're gonna do a Sports with Mono and Mono Instagram account too. So we
Yes,
got
we're
all the
working on
bases
that
covered.
in the process.
Right. And that'll also, like I said, but you go to the Instagram that Eli has right now, and you can get a little preview of 12th Horseshoe podcast with you and your
Yes,
buddy Jack. So,
yes, you could scroll. It's right on the bottom. Just find the link
yep.
and find me on Instagram.
All right, Eli. So let's move on to our random points of interest, which of course is sponsored by Lynch Toyota of Manchester, Connecticut. And by the way, I think we're going to be getting a new sponsor on the show as well, in addition to Coriano Trucking and Lynch Toyota. So hopefully we'll have that set up next week, and looking forward to a good relationship with another one of our sponsors.
Yes, indeed.
All right, so a couple of things here, a couple of things we saw last week, just some items that I noticed, and one came up with that Jameis Winston and the New Orleans Saints. Instead of kneeling down, they rubbed it in their faces, and you know what? I don't care for that. I think that was, and Dennis Allen, obviously the head coach of New Orleans, didn't call that play, so that was strictly on Jameis Winston, Bush League, and that's why he's you know an
Yeah.
average quarterback at best. So that was a bad move on his part. Um, Another quick thing I noticed. I mean, how much money have they made as partners with Tiger Woods and Nike have parted ways?
Yeah, I was just gonna
So
bring that
all
up.
that means is probably, yeah, Tiger Woods is probably going to have his own line, his own golf thing, and how much more money can he make? I don't know. Apparently, made enough with Nike that he thinks he can make more by parting ways with them. That's kind of big from the world of sports marketing, if you will, right?
Yeah.
Um, and regarding that, couple other things I noticed. Just wanted to give a shout out to PGA Tour player Gary Woodland, who's the 2019 U.S. Open champ, and last year was diagnosed with a brain tumor and so forth, a brain lesion, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, and he's back on the PGA Tour, so that's a real feel-good story in the world of sports. So I wish him all the best.
Absolutely.
He's actually playing in the Sony Open in Hawaii, which is normally the first kind of marquee event of the PGA season. So good luck to him. He shot a 71 on his first round, and since his
Wow.
recovery, and that's a great story. Love it.
That's huge.
And on the other side, and this just happened last night, and Neil, I don't know if you saw it, but the Chicago Bulls have created a ring of honor, which they didn't have prior, which I'm a little
No, I did
surprised
not see
about.
that.
But they inducted right, but Jerry Krause, who was the architect, if you will, of the Chicago Bull championship teams. His wife was there because he passed away
Hmm.
in 2017, I believe. But they
Okay.
actually booed Jerry Krause in Chicago, and it brought his wife to tears, and it was a horrible, horrible scene, ugly look for Chicago fans. But we
Wow.
talked about this before, like the Chicago fan and the Bartman situation, and I mean
That's horrible.
these are just heartless people. It was a terrible
Horrible.
thing, bad look for the Chicago Bulls franchise. Was just really terrible to see.
Wow. That
Couple
is
other things,
absolutely horrible.
NFL, and you and I were talking a little bit about this before. The NFL, they're at it again, looking to buy a majority stake in ESPN, which I think this could pose a big problem from an impartiality perspective or a conflict of interest, whatever you say, But the NFL is trying to corner not only the product that they have, but the venues and the marketing avenues that they broadcast on, and this would be rather historic. And but don't you lose your impartiality? How can you be an impartial provider of sports news if your boss is the company. So first time you criticize somebody, somebody's going to get fired. It's just, I just can't believe it. Hopefully it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But I think,
How I
the
look at it,
NFL has
I
so
think
much
that is
money.
a
It's going to happen.
successful move. I think it's a successful move because number one, I don't for non-money standpoint, who cares about that? We know Disney's good. We know they're rich. We get that point. But I think it's actually not a bad idea because then you minimize expanding. You go to one network. You're now just ESPN, ESPN NFL Network, whatever you call it. You have NFL Plus, which could get combined to ESPN Plus. I think that's better because if you think about it, you have to pay separately NFL Plus to get NFL Red Zone, or you have to get ESPN Plus to watch every other sport venue game. Putting it on
Yeah.
one app cuts the cost down or combines it, which I think that is a successful move if that does happen. Now, these are all just rumors. I think it'll be a successful business move. Now, will a
Mhm.
lot of people be fired? Absolutely. Will it change the game? Absolutely. But we will see how it goes. I think it's a successful move, however.
I just wonder that, now we're going to have to pay even more money because now all of the games will be tied to an ESPN affiliate. It just,
Not
to me,
necessarily,
I don't
because
know.
the only games that are on NFL Network are just the international ones and the classic. The Christmas Day Classic. That's pretty much it. The playoffs aren't interfered with it, except for which ESPN has a game, but that's normally on TV anyways. So I don't
Hmm.
think that it'll be such a big issue. I think the only issue that it could come down to is if the NFL Network games just become an ESPN Plus game, but I don't think that it happens anytime soon, though. That's my
Well,
guess.
I don't even know what that means for the NFL Network. If the
If it
NFL
becomes
buys,
ESPN or owned by
yeah,
ESPN, that's the old question.
right. That's my point. That's my point. Yeah.
Right.
Um.
I got a few
Anyway,
random points.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, tonight, ABC Hockey Saturday returns. Well, today at 1 o'clock, the Rangers and Capitals get back on ABC. There'll be a few games on ABC. I believe the next one's not until the All Star game, but you'll now have games on Saturday on ABC if you're interested. Chicago's Nick Foligno has a 2-year contract extension for $4.5 million. Blackhawks Connor Bedard has successfully completed his surgery on his jaw. Because it's successful. His return is a matter of 6 weeks. The Devils are 21-15-3, playing Florida tonight, 6 p.m. The Panthers versus the Panthers. More positive news for Jack Hughes. His injury is now going to be week to week, not month to month, which was what a lot of people are hoping. So that is a better sign for Devils fans. Eric Sapolstra is the Miami head coach. He has agreed to an 8-year, $120 million extension. Clipper star Kawhi Leonard has signed a 3-year, $153 million extension. And finally,
Yeah.
Kurt Menefee will be joining and a Good Day New York with Rosanna Scotto on Fox 5. He has signed the new gig, and don't worry, he'll be staying with the NFL on Fox as well.
Wow, interesting. You
Yeah.
brought up some hockey thing, and I was going to bring up Connor Bedard, but the Maple Leafs signed William Nylander to an 8-year, $92 million contract. And now a lot of
Yeah.
people may not know who he is, but I'm just using this as an example that the NHL, and they got a lot of young superstars, so they're going to start to make more money. This sets a precedent for the Bedard's next contract and all those kind of
Yes.
things, and Connor McDavid, etc. But you know, relatively speaking, that's a lot of money for a hockey player. 8
Absolutely.
years, $92 million. So, I mean, how much is some of these other guys, the Artemi Panarins and all these other guys, worth? So that's going to change the monetary structure of the NHL, I believe. So, good for him. He got the money. Great. And one last thing, Eli, you and I always talk about, guys that get overpaid, and I mentioned it before,
Yeah.
LeBron shit. But how about this one? The Yankees signed Marcus Stroman to a
Mhm.
2-year, $37 million contract for a guy. Here's the numbers. He's one game over 500 in his career.
Oh yeah.
He has a 3.65 lifetime ERA. He's a troublemaker. He's
Oh
not
no.
reliable. He often gets injured. And this was a move that just made me scratch my head going,
That is.
I mean, is
Oh my
that what's
god.
really out
Talk about
there? I
throwing
mean,
away the money.
oh my God. Yeah, he's already, because listen, he already threw the Yankees under the bus once when they didn't sign him. So now he's going to be wearing pinstripes, and I could tell you right now, this is not going to work out, and he's not going to win the Cy Young. So
Wow.
anyway,
That was talk about us wasting money, but hopefully it works out. Hopefully we're wrong. That's all I got to say. And one more in the point
yeah,
forgot to
well, we'll
mention.
see.
Last
Go
night,
ahead.
the undefeated St. Mary Gills became undefeated no more as they unfortunately lost to Don Bosco in a crazy game. 72-58 was the final. Bad night for St. Mary's. Let's just say that. A few missed shots. They
Okay.
kept it close. Impressive. But let me just tell you, that Dylan Parker or Harper, he is one of a kind. And he committed to Rutgers. NBA is following him already. He's gonna go far. I can guarantee you that much. And there's a reason why NBA insiders are watching out for him. The way his dunks were, he did not even try, and he looked, and the shots were so amazing, and the dunks and everything. That entire team was well created. Great job to Don Bosco. I know I'm a St. Mary fan, but and I'm a St. Mary student, but I got to give Don Bosco all my respect because they got a group there. You got
Sure.
guys committed to Howard Davids already. You got I think it was Howard. Yeah, Howard. And then you have guys going to Rutgers already. So, wow, they got a group down there in Don Bosco.
Yeah, no, they got. We talked about this. That your St. Mary's team, they beat up on the little guys, but they got to play the big
They
boys,
got
and
to
they
play the
have
big
Don
guys, and they did
Bosco.
not look right.
Yeah. So
Yep.
anyway, um, hope they rebound and make some noise in the Bergen County Jamboree. Right.
Yeah. That's always a fun one.
All right, Eli. So let's move
Movie
on. We
time.
we 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 had our movie recommendation for last week, and I got a lot of feedback. Um, like I said, I think the consensus number one was Animal House. Number two is up for grabs. Yeah, there's so many good comedy movies. I'm going to read off just a couple that I think are certainly worth a watch, and obviously one relates to the world of sports, quote unquote sports. Caddyshack. I mean, that's kind of a considered a cult classic now. Anyway, great. Rodney Dangerfield. It was just hilarious movie, and one I don't know if people know very well, but I always thought the movie School of Rock was so funny, and that with
Wow.
Jack Black. I don't know if you've seen that, but
Yeah.
Eli, you can give us your comedy one next week, as unless you want to rattle one off
No,
right
I
now.
don't. No, yeah. Well, I'll save it for next week. I'll give a comedy one next week. Yeah. Let's save it. But actually, it's not comedy
Okay,
movie,
all right.
but it
So
fits the
those are
occasion.
my things.
It fits the occasion for this week. This week, I believe, January 15th will be the 15th anniversary, 15th, 16th anniversary for when the Miracle on the Hudson, when the plane landed in the water. It was a miracle. All 154 passengers survived. Sully, watch Sully. I never watched it, so that's on my list for this weekend.
Sully
So watch
Sullenberger,
Sully.
you got it.
So watch
Yep.
Sully with Tom Hanks.
All right.
That's the movie recommendation.
However, though, you still have your homework assignment that you need
I
to
got a lot
watch
of homework to
Rudy.
do. It looks like I got a Rudy, Sully. I got everything I got to do.
Well, one of our sponsors says if he's going to pull his sponsorship if you don't watch Rudy. So get to it, will you?
All right.
All right, Eli. We got a little picture. We had some snow here
Yes.
during the week.
Hold on one
And,
second, and we go.
yeah, this is just kids enjoying. They happen to be my
Yeah,
grandchildren, and I had
snow
some other
today.
grandkids here this
Exciting.
week, and from California, they enjoyed themselves with the snow as well. So you can't
Must be
figure this
nicer down
out.
in
This weather,
California
it's
than
like
here.
almost 60 degrees now. It's going to go down to 20 tonight.
Must
Yeah.
be nice to be
So
down in California,
anyway,
not
those
like
those are my
Jersey.
kids in there enjoying the snow.
It must be nice down in
Yeah, I know.
California.
Anyway, so let's move on. We always close with some notable passings, and there's a couple of big names in the world of sports. And Franz Beckenbauer, and this was brought to my attention by Diego Cruz, who's our resident sports expert. But it's so funny because when he sent me this, Franz Beckenbauer was a World Cup winner, um, Germany, and the Ballon d'Or, if I pronounce that right.
Right.
three European championships, and like I said, he was on the '74 World Cup Germany team. And it's funny because I saw Franz Beckenbauer play. I mentioned this before when Pele passed away last year. He was also on the Cosmos with Pele, so I got an opportunity to see him at the end of his career. But certainly notable in the World Cup scenario of the world of soccer. He was 78 years old. So um, Franz
Yeah.
Beckenbauer. And this one just came in yesterday. I just saw was Buddy Harrelson, and Buddy Harrelson was the shortstop for the Mets on the '69 championship Miracle Mets team. He was 79 years old. Just a 15-year career in Major League Baseball. What you'd call like one of those scrappy guys. His only had a lifetime average of 235, but he was outstanding with the glove. Famous for, I guess most people would know him with the Pete Rose incident, and they had that little fight on second base. That was interesting. But Buddy Harrelson was always a decent guy. I know he was diagnosed with Alzheimer's back in 2016, so it must have been a rough ride at
Yeah.
the end. But he also, when he left the Mets, he was part of the Long Island Ducks, which was like an independent baseball league, which my nephew played for, by the way. So Buddy Harrelson, 79 years old.
Yes, and we have
Unfortunately,
breaking news coming in real quick now. AJ Brown from the Philadelphia Eagles has been ruled out for this upcoming Monday's game. He said according to Schefter, he has been working hard with a rehab, but is not enough to play, so he is ruled out this Monday for the Eagles.
wow, that's a big loss for them because I mean, if
Yes,
Jalen Hurts isn't going to be playing, which I didn't know, I guess his finger's worse than was anticipated. That's a big loss. I don't think I'm going to change my pick to Tampa Bay, but that goes well
yeah.
for
So
you.
yeah, AJ Brown. So he has been ruled out. Still questionable at the moment uh for the what's it called? The QB Jalen Hurts. But yeah, for right now, he is out
Wow.
for this upcoming game.
All right. Well, Eli, we had a lot of stuff to cover today. We
Yes,
covered most
indeed.
of it. So it just again, thanks to everybody in our loyal listener community for the continued support. And like I said, please send us an email at
Yes.
sportswithmanoandmano@gmail.com. And listen, sit back and enjoy Wild Card Weekend. It's a NFL fans' favorite week of the year.
Yes, it is. It is such a great week. We will have a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, and a lot of tears, and a lot of crazy moments. And we cannot wait to break it all down for you next week, heading into the divisional round.
Yeah. So, like I said, we as college football winds down, the playoffs wind up, and then there's no rest for the weary here. So,
Yes,
thanks
indeed.
for joining us, everybody. And Eli, great job with the production again.
Yes.
And like I said, you're doing a great job with your buddy Jack on the 12th horseshoe.
Thank
Like I
you.
said, we're gonna start spreading our wings a little bit more on Instagram and whatever
Twitter and all we
keep our,
got.
our fans informed of time changes or breaking news, stuff like that. So, Sports with Mano and Mano has gotten off to a great start in 2024. And Eli, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the games.
Yes, indeed. Enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the games. Have a good night, everybody.